Listen to me carefully. Right now, while you're watching this video, thousands of people are trying to guess where Bitcoin will go, up or down. And they're losing money on it because it's basically a casino. But at the same time, there's another group of people who are making 100, 200, even 500 bucks, while others are busy trying to guess Bitcoin's price. And these people are doing cryptocurrency arbitrage. They take advantage of inefficiencies in the crypto market and consistently make profits in any market because here it's all about pure math, not fortune telling. And no, I'm not going to talk about P2P arbitrage with shady schemes where investigators call you and your cards get blocked. This will be inter-exchange and inter-exchange arbitrage. And today I'll give you a step-by-step guide on how to make $100 a day through crypto arbitrage. And we'll go over strategies that trading gurus never talk about. These include spot and futures arbitrage, and farming arbitrage. I'll show you real numbers of how people make money with arbitrage. I'll explain everything in simple terms, so even your grandma will get it. So don't switch off, make sure you watch till the end. Give this video a like, subscribe, and let's get started. Let's clear things up right from the start. Arbitrage isn't trading. These are completely different ways to make money. In arbitrage, you're basically praying to the chart, waiting for it to go up or down. You draw some triangles and hope that this pattern will work out. Then Trump comes out, tweets something, and your trade goes the wrong way and you lose again. Trading comes with very high risks. You could lose your entire deposit. But in arbitrage, we're neutral to the market. We don't care how much Bitcoin costs, whether it goes up or down. We're neutral, we spot inefficiencies in prices between different exchanges, jump into those inefficiencies, and take the profit. For example, in the simplest case, you see that on one market, a sack of potatoes costs 10 rubles, and on another market it costs 15 rubles. So you buy at 10, go to the other market and sell for 15 rubles. The 5 rubles you make on each sack of potatoes, that's your profit. Arbitrage works exactly the same way, only instead of sacks of potatoes, we have tokens and cryptocurrency exchanges. And also, inter-exchange and inter-exchange arbitrage are better than peer-to-peer arbitrage because with peer-to-peer arbitrage, there are risks of your cards getting blocked. Hello drops, hello scammers, and you could end up in jail. And you could actually end up with dirty money, and then it'll be very hard for you to explain where you got that money from. But in this type of arbitrage that I'm going to show you, we operate within the exchanges. We don't go outside the exchanges, we don't use cards, we don't use exchangers, only cryptocurrency exchanges and tokens on those exchanges. You just press buttons and take the profit. The first strategy is the most reliable. It's called spot plus futures or cash and carry. The essence of this strategy is extremely simple. In a bull market, when people want to buy futures, they often break away from the spot price, and because of this, there's a difference between spot and futures. On the spot market, a token might cost 10 bucks, but on the futures market, it could be $10.50 because people are buying more since they want to go long with leverage and make more money. And this inefficiency of 50 cents is our potential profit from one token. So where it's cheaper, we buy the token, and where it's more expensive, we short it. When the prices converge, we close the position and lock in the profit. In this case, we're market neutral. If the market goes up, we have a spot position that grows in value. If the market goes down, we have a short position that brings us profit. Yeah, we'll have a loss on the spot position, but the profit from the short will cover it. But the point of this strategy is to wait until the prices converge. So when there's a price difference, we have an inefficiency of 50 cents. When the prices converge, that 50-cent inefficiency turns into profit. That's why we just wait for the prices to converge when the spot and futures prices are the same, and by closing the trade, we lock in the profit. Let's move on to an example of such a trade. Here's an example of a trade. I took it from an arbitrage chat where people share their trades. Look, this person bought the token on spot. On spot, he took a loss of $530, but at the same time, he shorted the same token. There was a difference. It was cheaper on spot and more expensive on futures. He started shorting this token on the futures market, and as a result, he made $622 from the short. So 622.21 minus negative 530.87 gives us more than 90, about $91 in profit. So this person made $91 because the trader token was cheaper on spot and more expensive on futures. And he entered this position when there was a spread, a difference in prices. When the prices converged, he closed the position and made $91. This is the simplest way to make money. Look, in important detail, you need to enter with the same amount of tokens, meaning you buy 10,000 tokens and short 10,000 tokens. Why do we buy the same amount of tokens? So that we are not dependent on market movements. Because if there's an imbalance in one of the positions and the price moves against us, we'll end up with bigger losses. That's why we enter with the same amount of tokens. Now let's move on to the second strategy. This is called farming of farming or farming arbitrage. It's also called the funding rate. It sounds complicated, but in reality, it's basically a salary just for holding a position. Futures have a mechanism that helps keep the price close to the spot price. So if the futures price moves too far from the spot price, there's this farming mechanism that helps keep the price in check. If there are a lot of long traders, the funding becomes positive and the long traders pay the short traders. In other words, to encourage people to open opposite positions, shorts, the exchange pays them profit for doing so. The funding rate can be 1, 2, or even more %. Usually it is charged every 8 hours, but sometimes more frequently depending on market volatility. The funding rate can be either positive or negative. If the funding rate is negative, it means there are a lot of short traders, and if we take the opposite position and go long, we will receive payments from the short traders. There are two strategies here, one for when the funding rate's positive and one for when it is negative. Right now, we often see negative funding rates, so we can go long on the exchange where the funding rate is more negative and go short where it is less negative. We've opened a position. The token price is currently the same, so the cost doesn't matter to us. We've entered the same amount of tokens on one exchange and on the other at the same price. Our only goal is to collect the funding that accrues to our position. As soon as the funding is credited, we close the position and lock in the profit. If the funding's positive, then here we go short. That is, we open an opposite trade, and on the other exchange we open a long or buy spot. This way we're also in a neutral position and just wait for the funding to be credited to our position. It's the same in the arbitrage chat where people do arbitrage and share their trades. Here, take a look at this trade. Look, this person earned from the funding fee, meaning the funding rate, farming $65. So he just held the position and the exchange credited him $65. Look, closed P&L. He didn't close anything, meaning he didn't trade. He just entered the position, waited for the farming payout, and now he can close the position and get $65 for free just for holding a position opposite to a large number of people. So most are shorting, but he went long and made $65 as he took the opposite position. On another exchange, he hedged by doing the same. That's the simplest, most passive way to profit from crypto arbitrage. The third type of arbitrage is futures arbitrage. Imagine that a token can have different prices on futures markets across different exchanges. Buy low, sell high. It's the same strategy as spot and futures. Unlike spot, we just go on. Let's say the Doge token costs 0.10 on one exchange and 0.105 on another exchange. We have a 5% difference. Where it's cheaper, we go long, where it's more expensive, we short. When the price converges and becomes the same, we close the position, and we lock in that 5% profit on our position. And here, too, we're market neutral, because we have a hedged position. We have a long open for the same amount of tokens as we have a short open. We don't care which way the price goes. We have both a short and a long position. If the price goes up, great, we'll make money. If it goes down, great, we'll also make money. But our goal is to wait until the prices converge and become the same, and that 5% spread turns into our profit. After deducting commissions, we get our net profit. I'm taking an example of a futures arbitrage trade from an arbitrage chat where people share their trades. Look, someone shorted the Moon token on one of the exchanges and made $87.34 on the short, and on another exchange they went long on the same token because there was a difference between the long and the short on different exchanges. Here he went long, but here he lost $31, so 87 minus 31 means he made $56. So he says he managed to jump in with just a penny and made $56. In other words, the bigger your deposit, the more you can earn from futures arbitrage. And all of these are real trades, real screenshots from exchanges where people share and show how much they've earned. For example, here's the Moon token short. He made $415 on that short. Below, we see where he made $595 on a long position. So he made over $400, more than $400, just on futures arbitrage. Where the token was more expensive, look, he shorted at 0.027, and where it was cheaper at 0.02591, he went long. And this spread, the spread he entered in advance, he locked in and made a profit of more than $400. And these are real trades. Here are actual screenshots from the exchanges. You can check them out yourself. Pause the video, take a look, and see when he entered the position, when he exited, the entry and exit amounts. Go ahead. Here's the opposite position on another exchange. He entered with 370,000 Moon tokens. And these are all real trades by people who make money on crypto arbitrage. These aren't just empty words. I'm showing you right now that people are actually making money. Here's another example with the Moon token. Take a look. Here's another one, and another one. So people are constantly making money through arbitrage. While others are busy guessing where the price will go, arbitrage traders are taking profits every day. At the end of the video, I'll tell you how to join this community so you can also watch, copy their trades, and earn money together with them. And now the main question, how do you actually find these trades? If you try to manually monitor 50 exchanges and 1,000 tokens 24/7, your eyes will just pop out of your head. It's impossible. That's why we need professional software here, called an arbitrage scanner. It scans dozens of exchanges, thousands of tokens, and only shows you the spreads that are worth entering and where you can actually make money. Let's go into the arbitrage scanner itself. I'll show you how it works, and I'll also share how you can join the community I showed you, where people make money on crypto arbitrage and share their signals. Look, we've entered the arbitrage scanner. I'm going straight to the funding section. Right away, I see the token and the spread between the funding rates. How much can I earn? 2% on the Piggy token. This is exactly the token that got hacked. We'll be breaking it down as well. I think I'll make a video about it, how you can make money on arbitrage during hacks. So when a token gets hacked and the hacker mints tokens, he can mint a huge amount and dump them on the order book, causing the price on the DEX to drop, while on centralized exchanges it hasn't dropped yet. And you can make absolutely insane money on this. But the risks here are huge. Subscribe for more because nobody else talks about this. There's no public info, only I share these exclusive deals on my channel. So subscribe, hit the like button, and share this video with your friends. Now let's move on to arbitrage on funding rates. Look, the Piggy token has a 2% funding rate, Lunch has a 1.5% funding rate. It shows the exchanges where there's negative or positive funding on all the popular platforms. You can also sort all this and keep watching further. Where the funding is more negative, we go long, where it's less negative, we go short. For example, here it's actually positive, so we'll be making a profit both from shorts and from longs. There you go. Negative and positive funding rates are all displayed here. We have a lot of videos about funding arbitrage on our channel, so check those out too. Those go into more detail about how to make money with this strategy and show examples of trades. Next, we have futures arbitrage. What we've been talking about today is futures plus futures arbitrage, or spot plus futures. There's also spot futures arbitrage, but I prefer these two strategies, so that's what I use. You can make the most money with them. Here in the filters, you select the exchanges where you have accounts and where you'll be buying the token. Here, you select the exchanges where you have accounts and where you'll be selling the token. You can set the minimum profit, maximum profit, it's all customizable. There are also other, more detailed settings, funding strategy, and all of this can be customized for you and your needs. And below, in a convenient table, you'll see the spreads for the token showing the pair where there is a spread. You can also view the spread history, how often the spread widened or narrowed, the exchanges where you need to buy and the exchanges where you need to sell. Look, on Gate, and on LBank, the AIA token is cheaper than on other exchanges in the futures market. So we buy on spot and short on futures, and when the prices converge, we close the position and lock in a profit of 9 to 8%. Just imagine, you would never find this manually on your own. And the scanner automatically scans dozens of exchanges and thousands of tokens for you, and shows the spreads in a convenient table that you can sort and customize to your liking, so you can check out the spreads that interest you most. It's just insane, because it's impossible to do this manually. There's a scanner like this that helps you find all of this. There's also DEX arbitrage. You can also set up notifications in the arbitrage scanner. So basically, it's the whole package. Everything you need to make money on arbitrage is collected in one scanner. Of course, you can set up Telegram notifications here and get alerts directly in your Telegram channel. And you don't have to sit there monitoring everything manually. You get a notification, check out the spread, and if you like it, you go in and take the profit. It's all easy. Now, let me tell you how to get into that closed arbitrage community where people share their trades. Arbitrage Scanner offers starter, business, platinum, and enterprise plans, plus Guru, VIP, and wire options are at the bottom. And with the Guru subscription, you get access to a special closed community where people share their own trades, give signals, show how much they're earning, where they're entering, how they're entering, and they explain and talk about it all. So if you want to really dive into arbitrage professionally and learn how to make money from it, the Guru subscription is a must-have because it gives you all the advantages. Arbitrage on futures, arbitrage on DEX, access to the community, a personal manager you can call who will help you with any questions. Then you'll also get access to side events and a bunch of other perks. Under each subscription, it says exactly what you get, so you can check it out for yourself. If you're just starting out, you can choose the business or platinum subscription. With the business subscription, you already get access to futures. The starter plan only includes inter-exchange arbitrage. With platinum, you get both futures and DEX arbitrage. And the higher the subscription, the more perks you get. So choose the subscription that suits you best. And with my promo code Nikita Arbitrage, you get double the subscription period. So if you buy 3 months, you get 6. If you buy 6 months, you get a year. Basically, you can safely divide this price by 2 and get your subscription much cheaper than other users. So the links to the Arbitrage Scanner and my promo code are in the description. Be sure to try it yourself and share your experience of making money with crypto arbitrage using the Arbitrage Scanner in the comments. I promise to be honest, so let's talk about the risks. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme, it's routine work that allows you to earn steadily. There are risks involved here. Look, the first risk is liquidation. If you use high leverage when working with futures, there's a risk of liquidation. You should always have margin on the exchange, and also don't use high leverage. Don't be greedy, stick to 1x or 2x leverage. There's also exchange risk. If you keep your capital on exchanges, that's always a risk, because exchanges are a third party. Exchanges can scam you, block deposits and withdrawals, or something else could happen. So don't risk it for a couple of extra %, because there are exchanges with low liquidity, no-name exchanges. You deposit your money there, and you might as well say goodbye to it, because they'll just block your withdrawals. That's why you should only work with top-tier exchanges. Be careful, don't take on unnecessary risks. The third risk is the human factor. You might hit the wrong buy or sell button, get caught in a negative spread, and lose money because of it. It's also a technical risk that you learn to avoid with experience. You get the hang of it, and you start to see trades ahead of time, understanding how to enter them. So only experience and making a large number of trades will help you start earning steadily from crypto arbitrage. Compared to trading, where there's a risk of losing everything, because if you enter a trade unsuccessfully, you could get liquidated and lose your entire deposit, especially if you trade without stop losses. In arbitrage, all the risks are technical and can be controlled. Now let's sum things up. To make $100 a day, you need some working capital. Unfortunately, you won't become a millionaire starting with just $10. You could take that 10, throw it into futures with 100x leverage, and you'll get liquidated pretty quickly. Or you can start with a decent amount of capital, earn it at your job, and begin crypto arbitrage, taking advantage of inefficiencies and consistently making 100 or even more per day. You need to understand the mechanics of spot and futures trading, arbitrage, yield farming, and have access to professional software, an arbitrage scanner that will show you market inefficiencies so you can easily spot spreads, enter them, and take a profit. And this is the most sustainable and straightforward way to make money in the crypto market, because you're not just playing a guessing game. Here, it's all about pure math. You provide liquidity, balance prices across exchanges, and for that, you get rewarded with profit. If you want more breakdowns of specific life hacks on how to enter these combos and make money with arbitrage, be sure to subscribe and hit like so you don't miss new videos. In the next videos, I'll break down even more complex strategies, so the link to the scanner is in the description. Other useful links are also down there in the description or in the pinned comment. Act while the spreads are still alive. Wishing everyone profits!